Eamonn Chnuic, or Ned of the Hill, was from County Tipperary, and it's in this area where renowned composer and performer Mícheál O'Sullivan lives. We visited him at his house.
Yes, you are in the right place. You are in the right place.
I remember it, Mícheál.
Come on. Great to see you. Come on in.
I brought your post for you too.
Oh, thank you. Very good. Very clever. Very clever. So basically, if you look at when you write down a tune from oral tradition or from traditional music, I always think of it, it's a bit like a snapshot. So it's like the oral equivalent of taking it at a particular point of time. Now, the great thing about it is Irish music has been collected in manuscripts and in in book form since about the middle of the 16th century. And this amazing collection here by a former teacher of mine called Fleischmann, The Sources of Irish Traditional Music, 2 volumes from 1600 to 1855. There are 7,000 snapshots in this, 7,000 transcriptions of traditional tunes. So the big question is Eamonn Chnuic in here? The earliest one is tune number 1023, and I've just pulled it out here. 1023, now you can see it here. Now it's in a book called 12 Scotch and 12 Irish Airs, and the subtitle is With Variations, set for the German flute, violin or harpsichord, London, 1745, so mid-18th century. So, I don't know, 1745, 1845, 95, so like nearly 250 years ago. We have the first snapshot. And so I just play through it because it's quite different from the one we know. But it is a version of it, I think, you know. Version,
it's
isn't
very
it?
Beautiful.
Very different from the other.
Yeah.
But I think in the second part, do you know?
The second part has the exactly.
And this is. So again, what we're learning here is how the tunes change across, say, generations.
Yes.
And you know. Now, so the next one, London again, 1789.
Okay, still
so
early.
So did we say 1745, the last one? So approximately, 40, 50, 67, about 40 years later, it gets picked up in Thompson's complete collection of 200 favourite country dances. Now, I haven't played this before, so I'll just try and sight read it. It's kind of like the last one. The song itself, the words, I was looking at the words here, I think I have them just here. And to speakers of the Irish language, even as a second language, it's a very familiar song. It starts with Céhéisian amach bhfuil féir aracha a réba machar stunta, Mícheál Chnuic tá báite fuair fluch or hir hiúil slétas glánta. And it starts off with a question. Who's that outside with the edge in his voice who's banging on my closed door? So it's a question, and then the answer comes from in a way beyond the door. I'm Eamonn of the Hill. I am drowned cold and wet from continually walking the mountains and the glens. So whoever set the text up set it up as a kind of a dramatic wandering rapparee or bandit who's wandering the hills of Tipperary, the glens of Aherlow, or all this area here in North and Mid Tipperary, Upper Church, which is quite near from here, which is where he was born. It's essentially a love song. He's pleading from outside the door, but it's also political. He's asking for a safe house. He's asking to be let in. He's asking to be taken in, to be protected in a way. because I presume it's a she, goes on from inside, a lee gills a chid, cadi yelamid, my dear, dear love, what will I do for you? And then there's a reference, a nominous reference, is go make puder dove or loch lingotuv, which means that gunpowder will blow us up unless we can be protected.
And what did he do that he was...
Well, he was involved in the wars between William of Orange and James II in terms of the kingship of England. And this was very important to the Irish peasant class, if you wish, because if James could come back and get power, Catholicism would be back in the driving seat, whereas with William of Orange, it was a religious war as well as everything else. And the name James, the Latin for James is Jacobus, so it gives the adjective Jacobite.
Okay, yes.
So if you were a Jacobite, you were a James person. So therefore, there's a lot of Jacobite songs. So if you think Jacobite, James II, as it turned out, the great Battle of the Boyne, William of Orange, or King Billy, as he would be known in Northern Ireland, King Billy, of course, won. And look, we're still living out part of that conflict. So you can imagine singing that with those words to that tune in a particular context. It'd be very highly charged.
Would be very...
Yeah, if your audience is kind of into that, you know, there's a feeling of defeat and at the same time revisiting the hopes of that particular era. You know yourself, you're thinking back on something that happened and suddenly you stumble on photographs to follow through the photographic image, and you have a handful of photographs, right? And the photographs are of particular moments. Bang, the whole thing comes back as a flow. So the snapshots, in that case visual snapshots, in our case sonic snapshots, sound snapshots, can act as keys to unlock the flow between the snapshots. You come in through the emotion of the tune, and then it broadens out into history and into the social origins and the social realities, how it has lasted, where it is now, which is just as important as where it was then. And our snapshots in Fleischmann's sources have been very helpful to us, I think.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Thank you, Mícheál. That's fantastic, yeah.
Well, good stuff.